Right, welcome back. So let's get into the presentation today. So, can't see my face. There we go. Move this out of the way. So today we are going to focus on the pillars of health. So people a lot of times talk about injury prevention. I am not a big believer in injury prevention, right? As we talked before, I believe more so in reducing our risk of injury than necessarily preventing injuries. We can't really prevent the injury, right? We're focused on stacking the deck in our favor. So, how do we reduce your risk of injuries? Well, we do that by focusing on the pillars of health. So, your pillars of health are as follows: movement, hydration, nutrition, stress management, connection with others, and sleep. So we're going to go through each one of these, talk about things that you can control, things that we probably can't control, and how we can utilize these pillars to help mitigate our risk for injury. A lot of times people will feel like it's one thing or the other. I got hurt because I didn't stretch, or I got hurt because I ran this workout for too long, or I got hurt because of X, Y, or Z. As we know, the human body is far too complex where it's like one thing, unless you get in a car accident or have some like traumatic thing happen. Most of our injuries in running are overuse. So we can't say that one specific thing created that injury. Most of the time, it is due to these stacking of pillars that are kind of offset that's causing our injuries. So, first one is nutrition. Disclaimer: I'm not a dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. I am not going to give you advice on nutrition, but I'm going to say that you need to eat enough. The most common thing that we see that goes wrong is that runners do not eat enough, or they take the mindset that, oh, it's Thanksgiving, I got to go out and do my run before the Thanksgiving meal to earn my meal, or I'm going to run to get these couple extra calories in a snack later. Like, we've got to switch our mindset. We need to make sure that we are eating to run, right? We're eating to fuel our body so that we can go out there and do our run, not running to eat. We need to fuel our body to go run, to recover from that run. It is the benefit to us to fuel. We're not earning that food through our exercise. So biggest thing here is just make sure that we eat enough. And if we a lot of times are having injury issues, especially pelvic bone injury issues, we go to food, right? There's a nutritional piece that a lot of times is that play there. Second pillar of health is hydration. So a lot of times people ask, how much water do I drink? A standard thing that I'll use is I'll take half my body weight, convert it to ounces. So if somebody's 150 pounds, that's 75 ounces of water to drink at baseline. Most of us are running and sweating and working out, we are going to need more of that. So we need to make sure that we're fueling with food and fueling with hydration throughout the day, a little bit at a time, and making sure that we're hitting enough. Most people don't get enough water. We try to supplement with other sources. Nothing's going to beat actually getting in water. So set a goal for yourself. I would say find what that baseline measurement needs to be. Having a water bottle with you at all times, setting goals for how much you want to drink throughout the day, very, very beneficial. Another piece is stress management. This is a big piece. When I'm working with individuals and talking to athletes, a lot of times I'll say stress equals stress, whether that's stress from work or stress from working out, right? So we need to make sure that we manage the stress from outside because we're putting stress in our body with our workouts and our exercise, right? So most people, what they'll do is they'll think that they need to exercise, right? We have it here as a way to manage stress, exercise. We need to exercise to manage our stress of work and family and relationships and holidays and all these things that are going on. But what that does is that adds more stress onto our body, right? The body interprets that through a stress cycle. There's some benefits to it, obviously, right, of acquiring health and acquiring fitness, but there is also a stress response to it. So what we need to do is we need to make sure that we know internally how to manage our stress. Do you read a book? Do you need a quiet time and go for a walk? Do you do some meditation? You play video games? Like, what do you do to relieve stress so that we can manage that stress system inside our body? Because from an exercise standpoint, the goal is to continue to stack up more and more stress, right? Stress plus rest equals growth. We need to increase that stress to get more growth, but we need to make sure that we manage the other aspects of stress that we're putting on our bodies. Connection. We are social beings, so we need to be able to connect with individuals. So I say teammates. This can be teammates on a athletic team. This can be teammates at work. This can be teammates in a lot of different sources, like people that you feel like you are working together with in some sort, whether that's from an athletic standpoint, a move and choose running club, or your local running store running club, or if you're on a college or high school or a club team. Like there's a lot of team atmosphere, things that can go on there. There's also friends and family that we need to connect with, we need to socialize with, we need to ingrain into each other's lives so that we have that connection piece This is a pillar of health. Social beings, we need to have this connection. So if we're struggling to find this, a lot of times I'll say we need to just seek out individuals and say, hey, you want to go for a run with me, right? Like find that connection from the social piece with your running so that you can get that benefit from in both worlds at the same time. Sleep. The most important recovery tool is sleep. If you ask me if you need more or how much you need, I'm always going to say just get more, right? Like we recover when we sleep. So if we're struggling from a stress side, if we're having a lot of injury issues, right, we need to get more sleep. Challenge here is we only have 24 hours in a day. A lot of you are busy individuals, right? We have work, we have families, we have other interesting things that we want to do. So it's hard to get that amount of sleep in. We need to make it a focus of trying to get in that connection to sleep, making sure that we have good sleep habits, making sure that we have good times when we are going to bed and waking up, more consistent times of sleep and wake cycles so that our body gets into this habit of knowing when it's going to go to sleep, when it's going to wake up, what that habit and routine is going to be like before and after. Um, this is super important, right? If we're not eating well, if we're not hydrating well, if we're not getting enough sleep, all the work that you're putting in is for naught. So making sure that you're focusing on those things is going to help you live a happier life, but then also find more success in your athletic endeavors. And the one that I'm most ingrained into and know the most about is movement. So biggest thing I think about when I'm thinking about runners and athletes and their movement is the assortment of movement pieces. What's the running look like? What's your running programming? What's your cross training regimen? What's your strength mobility work? We know what that's going to look like now within this program. And making sure that our focus is on these two things. We want to optimize our movement. We want to move very, very, very well, right? We earn the privilege of moving more by moving better. And then we need to build resiliency so that we can withstand that much more force and that much more stress through that movement. Okay. So going back to the beginning, we've got to make sure that we're focused on these pillars of health so that we can withstand more forces, so that we can stay healthy and be consistent with our training. Look back at this video. If you've got more questions, feel free to reach out. We'll chat soon.